down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
All right, Savvy investors, today, oh shucks, we're talking about realtors. Working with realtors, we're going to break it down. Some people think that I'm anti-realtors per se. Some realtors hate me. Some realtors love me. I really don't care what you think, but I do care that you understand how realtors work and so on and so forth. But before we get busy, funky donkey on this one, I want to let you know that some realtors in general, and this is why it's kind of a joke, why they have a bad rep. Well, the reason is that there's hundreds of mediocre realtors, and there's only a few good realtors. So just like Christianity in general, people think that all Christians are hypocritical or brow-beaten, Bible thumping, churches on every corner. Because they preach one thing, they do another. It's just the same concept per se. There's thousands of realtors out there. Say that they're realtors. They got hairspray and they're rolling around with a realtor on their car, and they're only out for themselves. Okay, so if you got offended by that, then you may be a mediocre realtor. But if you take pride in what you're doing, your integrity, and you do your job, and you're helping buyers and sellers, especially investors, acquire real estate, and you're doing the transaction, then you are a good realtor. So if you got offended within this 30-second intro, hit the off button. All right, here we go. So let's get serious here. And real estate agents, realtors, brokers, they are an integral part into real estate transactions. And, society has moved towards doing everything yourself, DIY. I buy houses DIY, or you can't wait. There is a position for all of those type of transactions. People that buy houses through bandit signs, or real estate investors or wholesalers. There's a need for that because they can close, and they can close quickly. An average real estate transaction takes about 6 weeks to close. And I'm talking like a regular, Fannie Mae loan per se. Okay. So, getting under contract, doing inspections. When, you're selling to an investor, usually they do their own inspections, or they just buy it at a deep discount. So they're just different people doing different things, different structures. But let's talk about realtors in general. How does it work? Do we need realtors? And I think you do. And so for that, let's get into it. First of all, I'm going to be real generic and broad here. So it gets a little bit more technical and how things do. And there's a thing called variables and markets, Texas, Oklahoma, California. So everything's different. So this is just a guide. First of all, people assume that realtors charge 6% per transaction. That's a kind of a standard. In Dallas, when the market is so hot and the listings can't happen, people lower the listing down to 5%. And how does that break down? 6%, 5%? Well, usually it's a 50-50 split. So the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, they split that. So in a 5% situation, usually the listing realtor will take 2% and they'll offer 3% to the buyer's agent. That's that. Now, if you have a listing and you are the realtor, and no one brings a and I'm going to buy the property myself, and I don't have a realtor representing me, buyer's agent, then that realtor typically gets the full percentage, 6%, because the listing realtor negotiates with the seller saying, hey, I want to represent you. I'm amazing. I'm going to do marketing. I'm going to do photos, and I'm the best realtor in the whole world. So sign up the contract with me, and I'll list your property, and I'll put it in the MLS, and I don't do anything. I'm just joking. That's happened to me before. So, but seriously, there's realtors out there that that's all they do is prospect, get listings. They teach you that in real estate school, listings. And I agree with that. You got to get in the MLS to sell it, but then some people just don't market the property. But let's stay on point here. So the listing realtor negotiates with the seller and says, hey, I'll sell your property for X amount of money. I think we can sell it for. I'll do some research, and I'm going to take a percentage, and that's going to be 6 to 5% or whatever percentage they decide. And here's the deal. As soon as you sign that contract, they get that percentage, and you, the seller, buys it. Now, you provide that. You pay them no matter what if you're listing the property. Now, there's ways to negotiate, and here's some things that I definitely recommend. Years ago, it should be 6 months a listing. I've seen listings for a year, but I work with some very aggressive realtors now, and when I give them a listing, they do 90 days. And then I think that's great. After 90 days, I can decide if they're doing their job or not. But the thing is like some realtors or some sellers, they're nervous that their job, the guy's not doing their job or the gal's not doing their job. And you know that, just ask for stuff. If you really want to know a story that really went bang and busted me in the face, that's in my red book, The Savvy Landlord, where I bought my residence that I'm in now, and I got hammered with a realtor, and I was nice, and they found me my dream home, and I live in my dream home right now. And I was going to sell my last home that I'm moving in, that I left to move into this one. And I just thought this realtor found my dream home. I was emotional, and I was like, hey, list my property. You do such a good job. If you get me this house, man, it's a dream home, I'm getting at a dream price. If you give me that deal, I'll give you the listing. And I'm a man of my word. So I said, all right. And the dude took the listing and promised me, open houses, photos, all this. Didn't do anything. He signed the contract, and the house sat there for 6 months. It was murder, and I couldn't get out of the contract. So make sure when you are listing a property that you're communicating with that realtor, and they're workable. They're willing to understand who you are and your timetable and what you're getting done. I recommend, signing a 3-month listing agreement with them. And, maybe have a clause in there, like when I list one of my rental properties and I deal with a lot of investors, I tell the realtor up front, hey, I'm already kind of been marketing this property. I'm definitely down to pay you your commissions and what you deserve and what it's worth to you, and I'll sign a contract. But if I do bring a buyer to the table, I'll give you some compensation just for your time and, some of the costs that you have. And that's called the non-exclusive agreement. So learn the term before you sign a contract and you're selling a property. What's exclusive and non-exclusive? What's the percentage? What are they going to make? Which you need to pay people, and I'm all about paying people, and how long it's going to the contract to last, and then if there's an out clause at all for you. So those are just some tips. But let's just break it down. How do they get paid? Well, let's just say 6%. They sign the seller up on a listing agreement, and they have to split that usually with the buyer's agent. So right off the gate, 6% translates into 3%, 3 on each side. And then if they are a rookie realtor, they have to split that 3% down to 1.5%. They usually split 50%. So if you're a rookie realtor and you're working with a big real estate company conglomerate, that's usually the terms. They justify that. They state that they usually pay for your schooling, and they have offices and fax machines and blah 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 blah. All right, but so you're really making 1.5%. So if you're selling a $10,000 house, I mean, you're making $150. It's really small numbers. And so you got to understand, a lot of people get confused and they start treating realtors kind of funky because, I'm paying you $6,000 on a $100,000 house. Well, reality is, in some cases, they're making 1.5%, which would be $1,500. That is a lot of work to sell a $100,000 house and only make $1,500. Now, things change, and some agents are different. So on a buyer's agent, they may keep all 3%, and they may share like a transactional fee. There's a lot of new brokerages out there that are only charging like a flat fee listing or a flat fee processing. Usually it's a $250. So that $1,500 or that could be $6,000 cut in half. So I know I'm moving kind of fast here, but the buyers, it's 6%. It's a $100,000 house. The buyer's agent gets 3%, so they would get $3,000. In this case, which I would recommend if I was a broker, they only have to pay a $250 transaction fee, and that covers the errors and omissions and insurance for that real estate agent. All right, So you look at working with 6%, they're really only making sometimes 1.5. And the deals that I work with, 50,000 or under 100,000, is really not a meat on the bone. And then it's a lot of negotiating. So right there, just you knowing that, you should respect realtors in general. All right. I respect them. I tease them because there's been a lot of deals that I've been involved in where they didn't do anything and they got paid. All right. So, but what's a lot of things, if they have a lot of education, a lot of realtors pay a lot of fees. And that's the main reason why I'm not a realtor. No, that's not why. One of the main reasons why people ask me this all the time, even my accountant tries to get me to become a realtor because there's better tax deductions. And I say, no, I'm not going to be a realtor. I love realtors. I respect realtors. We're going to leave it at that. But what's the typical fees realtors pay? Well, first of all, they're self-employed. So they're got to take care and manage their own bookkeeping. That's one thing. They got to do their own taxes. Their brokerage, which is who you should be as a broker because they're making fees off everybody. But the realtor typically has to pay an MLS fee. That's usually $75, $50 a month, depending on what market you're in. They got to pay a MLS key fee. Wow. They got to pay that. They have to pay signs. They have to pay gas in their vehicle to get to your house and list it. They have to pay for their cell phone so you can text me. So the fees, they got to dress decent, right? I mean, some realtors have some high-end cars. I don't know about all that jazz, but they have costs to operate their business. And when you run the numbers, a typical, and you should call a realtor and ask them because there's some crazy data on what's an average sell for a realtor. I think it's, and I'm just making this up, but maybe one house a month or every other month. I mean, there's just a lot of costs. I figured it out one time that this is a long time ago. I went to real estate school, and just to learn the business, I thought I was going to be a realtor, and then I realized real fast it's not what I want to be doing. But back then, I mean, this is about 10 or 15 years ago, I calculated it's about $2,000 a year just to be a realtor, just to say I am a realtor. And on top of that, they have continuing education that they have to go to. Laws are always changing. There's liability. So, I mean, being a realtor in its first, and I hope realtors are cheering right now because I normally blast realtors in meetings and I'm usually frustrated with them because I lose some deals because they didn't call back. And I have lost some major stuff, and it is frustrating. But sometimes, someone has done a lot of work to get to where they're at. And then to be a broker, in the state of Oklahoma, you got to be a realtor for so many years, like 2 years, you got to apprentice and so on and so forth. All right. Here's some tasks that realtors do. They do a lot of phone work, prospecting, calling, and deals just never materialize. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. A lot of tasks that they also do, not only just phone, but they have to pull CMAs, which is comparable market something. I don't know. I can't remember, but I'm getting tired. But anyway, they pull comps. They kind of give you a general idea of what something's cost. So I believe that realtors are very powerful and a team player that you need to have on your team. So we're getting to the end of the road here. We're about 13 minutes in, and so I'm going to kind of wrap this up in about 4 to 5 minutes so we can make a 20-minute good episode on the Savvy Radio Show so you can get on with your day. Now, how do I do it? All right, number one, I try to be loyal to every realtor that has been consistent with me. Now, I'm not in bed with just one realtor. I want to be upfront with that, and I know some realtors listen to the show, and I've had some realtors get frustrated that I would buy a property with one realtor and I didn't list it with another. I learned that from my mentor. We were driving around, this is 20 years ago, and I'm looking at houses, and he had 3 houses in a row, and he had 3 different real estate agent signs on the lawn. And I asked him, why wouldn't you just use the same guy? He's like, look, it keeps them hungry. And I know that may sound insensitive to some people, but it's easy to be complacent. I'm fat for some reason. I don't know why, because I'm complacent, because I'm eating too much. I'm tired at night and I don't want to work out, or I wake up and I'm late and I got to get on to the Savvy Radio Show. we get complacent. And so realtors get complacent. So you got to come up with a way to motivate them. And I kind of cycle through realtors, not lose them, but I try to build relationships with as many realtors as I can. And I try not to waste their time. I don't just call them up and have them do tasks for me and then not bring them business. I share the wealth as much as possible. And so like one time I bought an apartment building. I actually found the deal. I, gave it to the realtor. He looked it up and he couldn't find it in MLS. And I was like, hey buddy, it's in LoopNet. And so he went on LoopNet, got this apartment for me. Everything was gravy. And then I had to flip the property. It wasn't what I needed. And it was a lot of work at the specific time in my life. And I was like, no way, I can't do it. And I tried to list it back with him and it didn't work. And another realtor came by and sold it for me after that listing expired. So I refer different realtors for different jobs or different areas of the market. There's some realtors out there that are just really great at specific retail. They're specific in retail and they only work with $200,000 homes. And so if a friend calls me, I give them their phone number. Not just think of it like a doctor or an attorney. They're specific in their area. You really don't want a divorce attorney that does that all day long, try to handle an eviction for you. That's just dumb. He doesn't know the eviction laws like he knows with divorces. So it's the same principle applies to real estate agents. There's certain real estate agents I know where they live. They may live in a town, a part of town, and I have listings in that part of town. And there's realtors that are just real estate investor specific. And what I mean by is that they're real estate investors or they're property managers, and they understand what real estate investors need and desire with quick phone calls and quick offers. And they understand earnest money and they can hold earnest money for you and not accidentally drop it off. And those are the real estate agents that you really want to work with. And they're not accessible. They're not everywhere because they're down grinding it out and they're working with real estate investors all day long. But they are rare. So you've got to find out who they are and you got to build a relationship with them. And so like I have a couple of real estate investors there's realtors, and there's one that is kind of in the retail, out of retail. And he sets me up on searches, and I'm specific with him. I'm buying in this neighborhood. I want to spend $50,000. I would, give me listings that are $65,000 and below, 3-bedroom in this one area. Another realtor, I do a little bit more higher end properties. I'm like, I need listings that are 150 and below in this one sector of town. So I work with them, and then I try to be specific. If they send me the listing, and if I come across the house on my own, I'm driving in a neighborhood, I will actually, and if it's a buyer's agent, like they're representing me, I will look in my email if they ever sent me, because I save every email and I type in the address. If a listing pops up that they sent me, I call them and I have them represent me, because it doesn't cost me anything to have a buyer's agent. Now, if you're new to this and you're getting a rookie real estate investor realtor trying to represent you and they don't know how to negotiate, or they don't know the terms, or they don't know what to say, you may lose a deal. Okay. But don't be the ghetto real estate investor that goes around realtors and just call signs and tries to give them straight commission, the listing agent commission. Share the wealth, build relationships. And I think that's the ultimate goal. And when you're working with rookie realtors, just be sensitive, and that some of them will not last. Most realtors can't make it, because how can you quit your day job, go full-time in real estate, and start making money? It is rare. It's possible. And if you are one of those realtors out there, I commend you, because you freaking went and hit the pavement. You whipped ASS, because you have to, making 1.5% in the beginning or 3%. How many transactions do you have to do? Because the big transactions, $300,000 or $500,000 houses, they've already got realtors in there that know that area and are getting tons of referrals. So know that up front, that how they get paid, what's their time worth, and ultimately build relationships. Now, here's some goodies that you need to be aware of. And if you're a rookie real estate investor and you're like, man, that never happens to me. And I used to think this. Pocket listings. All right. What's a pocket listing? A lot of people don't know what a pocket listing is. That's like where there's two realtors in an office per se, and they're talking, and calls come in, and they just found out that there's a listing that a homeowner wants to sell, and they're motivated, and it sounds like a good deal, and they hear about it, and the other realtor says, "Hey, I know Steve Van Kallenberg buys in that area. Let me call him. I know he can close." And that's a pocket listing. That means it's before it even gets to the MLS, it's sold. And, is that because I'm cool? No, it's just because of relationships. And I used to be the one that wished that I could get those deals. And honestly, I don't even get that many pocket listings. To be truly honest, I farm my own deals with wholesalers and direct mail and campaigns and Facebook. That's how I majority get my deals. Every once in a while, an amazing realtor will show up in my life and say, "Hey, I got this deal. I need to sell it." Or I'll find a deal after looking all over the MLS for expired listings. So there's tons of techniques out there, and we can go into them in another episode. If that's something that you want to hear, let me know, and I'll break it down. But the goal for this episode is to, love on realtors. Let them know that you appreciate them. And stay away from the ones that, have attitudes. Look for real estate agents that have positive attitudes. Look for real estate agents that call you back. Look for real estate agents that maybe your friend is using, and try them out. There's nothing wrong with communicating with a real estate agent, and I definitely recommend going to lunch. It's just fascinating. Every time I go in the bank, the president or the vice president there asks me, "What's the market doing? Where's it going?" And it's just funny. Today is June 7th, 2016, and I'm predicting I'm like some big guy. I'm like, I think after the election, the market's going to soften up, and I don't know if soften up is the right word, but I think it's going to start going down. I think right now, when your secretary wants to get into real estate, the market's way too hot. It's just pretty common sense. That's what I like about real estate. And it's common sense. The more that you love on your realtors, and the more returns that you get. So hopefully I didn't leave anything out. Hopefully I gave a good understanding of what realtors do and how much we appreciate them. Other than that, I'm signing off. You need a realtor to go buy assets. If you go buy assets, you can take care of your family and you can bless more people. That's why I'm in the real estate. There's no other greater asset that anyone can get in. You just have to build some credit, I guess. Not even credit. You could use private money. You can get in real estate with little education and no money. And it's true. And I see it happening every day. So you listener, go do it. Go call somebody. Go to the library. It's freaking free. 3% of America have a library card. So go get one. It's free. Go to the front and ask, "I need some real estate books on investing." She's like, "There's a whole bunch of them." Take out one book or just sit there and read it. Get motivated. Go look for property. Make offers. And the money will come. Trust me. Anyway, my name is Steve Van Kallenberg. I'm the Savvy Landlord. If you like this, please leave a comment. If you want to hear more episodes, go to thesavvyradioshow.com. Other than that, have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to The Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.